have to find out, and especially as a good wholesaler, what are the needs and requirements of your motivated seller,
Yes.
as well as the needs and requirements of your buyers.
Right.
It's one and the same, because you need to try to match those up. That is huge.
Yes. And what do you want is huge, because you get, for me, I call it the story. You get the story that's associated with what they really need, which allows you to be into solution sets,
Correct.
not in an argument,
Yes.
right? Because if you say, what do you want to sell it for? They're going to come up with a number, and now you can argue about the number. Or you can be in solution set, which is, what do you need from it? I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. So you remember a time when you first got into real estate?
I do. I remember a time when I first got into real estate investing, excuse me, let me clarify.
Okay.
And, well, you know my story. I mean, I left.
But my listeners don't know your story. So
okay.
Remember the time you could finish this story, and then I will introduce you. But this is good material, so we're not going to lose it. We're just going to jump right in. Don't worry. My editor will either edit this out or just let it flow, because it's all good.
That's it.
Good. It's all good.
I mean, the reason that I got into, I left corporate America, I went into real estate to get that, I believed I wanted financial freedom, because at that time, I didn't have the time freedom. I didn't have the money freedom. I didn't have any of that. I was working for the boss, and I didn't want to work for the boss anymore. So I went ahead and when I had just lost my job, I had $130,000 of high interest credit card debt, two, God bless it, 2 car payments, a house payment, and 2 young children.
Right.
And no job.
Perfect scenario. Ideal scenario for getting your backside in gear. I would say ASS, but I don't think I'm allowed to. So getting your backside in gear, ideal scenario. So what the heck did you do from there?
So real quick, Reader's Digest view, because there is a lot of material. We could be sitting for 5 hours talking.
I could record for 5 hours your stories. Absolutely. And I would happily, I have talked to you for hours about your story, and I would happily do that.
So I'm sitting at must be 2, 3 in the morning. This guy comes on TV and says, "You too can sell real estate." And I'm like, with my wine in hand, right at 3 in the morning, and I'm going, God, if that idiot can do it, I can do that.
That idiot can do it. Clearly, I can do it. Clearly.
So I blindly, not blindly, but I take the leap of faith, and I go in. I'm going to be a real estate investor. Okay. Take the classes and things like that, and I start becoming a wholesaler, obviously. So I worked a number of years as a wholesaler, and then I built this wholesale business up into about a $1.2 million a year. It was a heck of it was the early 2000s, mind you. And then we started flipping and things like that. Now, when I did that, I actually got to the point where I became a Hall of Famer in this particular arena, and internationally recognized. And I declared my first goal to become partially financially free.
Right, because partially financially free works. Let's not be confused on that. Partially financially free works. Okay, can define it and keep talking. Go ahead.
My first goal, my first 3 goals, were, number 1 is to become a full-time real estate investor. Achieved. My second goal was to become bad debt free.
Right, bad debt free, which is very important.
Meaning I got rid of my credit card debt. I got rid of all that other stuff, but I still had a mortgage payment. I still had, things like that. But I had 0 credit card debt at this point. So yay.
No, you said you had 130,000. It takes time.
That's not. So it took a number of years.
Yeah.
But in my third goal, and this was our big treat, was to go ahead and take my family on a family trip to Hawaii, which I did.
Okay.
So I achieved all of those goals. And then later on, of course, 07, 08 happens, and there was other challenges. and,
Don't
um,
talk 0708. It makes me want to cry. Go ahead.
and of course, the market bottomed out in like what,
Yeah.
12? But you know, the
12.
funny thing is we retooled real quick in like 08 and 09, and we jumped to the dark side and started doing all of the NODs, the NOTs, and stuff like that. And I was buying for 2 hedge funds on at the steps.
Okay.
And we started doing a lot more flips and things like that. And that's when I was, buying for those, my wife says, Kevin, why don't you just, go get your real estate license? And I'm like, what?
What?
No. Who the hell
No,
was
I'm
a-
an investor. I don't need a real estate license.
and I mean, there was more to it. I mean, I'm sitting there in the group that I was with, the board basically says, Kevin, you're going to be our new realtor. And I'm like, I don't want to be a realtor.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit for the exam. I don't want to sit for the classes. I don't want to fill all the paperwork.
But I do. I take a hit for the team.
Yep.
And I go ahead and I get my license and eventually my broker's license and everything else. But I go on. And like I said, there's a lot more details to this, but we're going to do the Reader's Digest
It's
version.
good. It's all good.
And I of course, I got really, really burned out real estate investing. And this was maybe 11 or so, 12 time frame, and I mean, it was almost to the point where I'm leaving real estate. I'm just going to go be a Walmart greeter. I don't care.
No, I'm going to go work at Wendy's as a waitress.
Yeah,
Not Wendy, Wendy, the Denny's. I'm going to work at Denny's as a waitress.
Denny's. There you
Denny's.
go.
That's mine. When life is crazy and I go, well, okay, screw it. I'm going to like bugger out. I'm just going to go to forgive me for this. If I piss anybody off, I apologize. I'm going to go live in the Midwest and I'm going to work at a Denny's or a Norm's as a waitress.
Oh, that's funny. No, but I think I'd be a great Walmart.
You'd be a great Walmart greeter. You know what? Maybe you've missed a true career calling.
That's it. I'd be like Walter. He's like, welcome to Walmart. Come on in. Get your shit. Get the hell out. but I digress.
Okay, yes.
Go
ahead. Talk.
And I had the owner of a very, very large real estate company come to me and says, Kevin, you're probably one of the brightest guys I know. He says, I know you got your license, and I was so like burned out on this other stuff. I said, I'm done. And he says, I'm going to give you an office, go over and do whatever the hell you want to do.
Okay.
And we were sitting at Starbucks at the time, right? And I'm like, okay.
I can figure that out.
So I went and seriously, I was burned out on the investing side because, I needed a change. I needed to revamp myself. So I said, I'm going to go play realtor because, 98.9% of all realtors are idiots.
Yes. And so therefore, to all of our realtor listeners, we apologize, but I'm going to have to agree that 98.9 or 98.8 of all realtors to investors mindset
are idiots.
Don't know jack. I'm sorry. They think in the primary residence box. Yes. And we're in a different box. We're over here in the investor box trying to create something different for if you're a flipper, right, for the primary residence, but we need to buy it from the investor's mindset, not the primary residence mindset. So they
perfectly said. Thank you, Christina. Hey, you never know where you're going to go when you got me on the thing.
It's totally good, Kevin. It's all right. I can totally we'll just keep putting the bumpers up. No, it's just fly, Kevin. Just go. Go.
So I go ahead and I just want to play realtor for, I did it for about 2-3 years maybe. Right. And it was great. And I said, hey, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, actually.
Since I know all the investor side already.
That's right. Right.
And so I go in and I end up, and someone came up to me and says, Kevin, will you help mentor me as a realtor? And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So, and I ended up getting all my different certifications and got my GRI, became a broker, my God. Mm-hmm. And then I must have been insane. But I go ahead and I do that and I start building a team.
Yep.
And it's like building an investment business. Really, I use the same principles I learned on the investing side to build a real estate team.
That's right.
And it worked.
And it works. It works really well.
Yeah, so I built up this successful real estate team, and they're making me money, and I'm still making money, and I'm doing transactions as a real estate realtor and a broker, and then all of a sudden, these people over here, these investor types, you have to watch out for them.
You totally have to watch out for us investors. We are
They
so
drag me back.
right. I'm calling Kevin going, Kevin, I have money. Are you flipping? Am I giving you money or not? Kevin, I have clients who wants to give you money. You're one of my recommended guys. Are you going to take my clients' money or not? Like, Kevin, what are you doing?
But I do. I have these people that drag me back into it, which I don't mind, and I'm able to help them. I help me a little bit too, which is good.
Good.
And we start investing in different things, and it's great. And but now over the last, let's see, so I became a realtor back in 10, 11. I'm still building the team over the last 10 years. Went back into the investing side, and with a little bit more knowledge, and it was really, really great because I had the realtor side and I had the investor side.
Right.
And I was able to take the best of both worlds and make a win of it. So now I am proclaiming on your show, Christina.
That's right.
I'm declaring, excuse me, my total financial freedom.
That's right. You have nailed it. That's what we opened this with.
I have no more mortgage because I just sold my house and I bought another one all cash, no mortgage, no anything else. I have my car paid off, everything else. Now I'm just going to go wine taste.
Yeah, exactly. You've hit it. You spent all this time. I don't know how many years. I'm going to read your bio at some point, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see if I have time. But you spent all this time building, right? Building,
yes.
Right? And you have spent a lot of energy, effort, focus. I don't know about you, but being up in the middle of the night and dealing with people, contractors, other real estate agents, permitting, the county, that always is a good one. All kinds of people, right? The county and the permitting offices. I don't know. They're not my favorite.
Oh, God, yes.
I talk to my permitting office like once every other day. It feels like right now.
Oh, I'm dealing with them right now.
Right. So you're dealing with all this, and you find, for what reason? To finally get to here. I was going to say, it could be a moment. It is a moment. Obviously, there's a moment where you realize you're there.
Yes.
But it's really a year where you go, I've just transitioned. I've just nailed it.
And what's great is that, yes, can I relax? But I don't want to. I enjoy, because I always tell people, I says, real estate is not a job. It's a lifestyle.
Yes. It's a lifestyle and a mindset. It's a lifestyle and a mindset.
And a lot of times
absolute mindset.
Come up and I was listening to this one real estate coach the other day, and investor and stuff, and he was talking about a quantum leap, going from point A to Z, basically, and a quantum leap in real estate and becoming successful. And he said that it's not just from A to B; it's made up of all these little things all the way up to, through that, and it looks more like this.
Yeah, it does. It looks a lot like the cycles of the real estate market. Look a lot like the cycles of your real estate career. Yeah.
Yes, I know that, but that's exactly the way it is. But a lot of people come and says, "Well, Kevin, I just got my license, or I just left my career. I'm going to be a real estate investor. By next year, I want to be like you." And I'm like,
okay, let's talk a little bit. Can we talk a little bit? Sit down, have a couple cups of coffee.
Matter of fact, since you're so well off, why don't you buy me a cup of coffee?
Exactly. You're so certain that you're going to make it by next year. Hey,
And I'm like, you know what? There's a lot, and I always tell people, I said, I've had people come up and say, "Oh, I have a bachelor of this, I have a master's in this." And I said, "Fantastic. I got a doctorate." And they're like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, the School of Hard Knocks."
The School of Hard Knocks. Absolutely. Okay, with that, I'm going to read your bio. Okay, so Kevin Oliver, right, is in Bakersfield. He's both currently a real estate broker and investor in Bakersfield. So let me backtrack a little bit. Kevin Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Kevin is a dear friend of mine, also a high quality human being, which is hugely important in real estate. I can't repeat that enough. Kevin is both a Currently a real estate broker and investor in Bakersfield, California, has been investing for over 15 plus years. Dude, I think it's longer than that. He's got to start in real estate in the wholesale field and spent his first 5 years acquiring and marketing properties to investors in California. While wholesaling properties, he spent a portion of his career recruiting and training new investors in wholesaling and the rehabbing business. Kevin takes the success of his team, his network very seriously, and has made his mark by inspiring many, taking risks, and leading by example. To get where he is today, Kevin took his ability to inspire others and used it to motivate and mobilize agents and other investors around the U.S. to apply real estate basics and quickly bring him leads during the REOs, including REOs, short sales, pre-foreclosures. He is a master of applying real estate basics. He is a master, by the way. You are a master at applying real estate basics to find real leads and translate into big profits. He also works feverishly renovating single and multifamily homes, mainly in his hometown of Bakersfield, California, though he does like to run off to Las Vegas and play a bit while flipping in Vegas. I'm good to know that. He has been involved as either a realtor or investor in over 1,000 plus homes and flips and has never picked up a hammer. Mr. Oliver, Mr. Oliver is a founding member and director of FIBI Bakersfield for Investors by Investors, Kern County, the largest investor group in Bakersfield. Mr. Oliver also gladly serves several charities and nonprofits and works on the executive board for the local Bakersfield chapter of the Salvation Army and is a proud member of the Rotary International Real Estate Education. So, Kevin, I at least had to acknowledge some basic things in your bio here.
I actually have a few things on top of that. I was actually just recently, well, I guess it wasn't recently, it's probably about 8 months ago now. One of our county supervisors appointed me as the county commissioner. And I sit on the Civil Service Commission, and which is actually not bad. It's a lot of fun. So I am a county commissioner now up here in Kern County.
County commissioner in Kern County.
Yeah,
dude.
One of them. There's others.
So, you have time for this?
No.
No, I don't.
We make time.
We make time. We do.
There's a few other things that, and I know that I work very closely with our city council and things like that, and I'm looking at a few other things that I can't talk about right now, but I am helping a lot with some of our police officers up here. They work so hard. Yeah. And a few other things with our city council. Matter of fact, I just spoke before the city council the other day. So
I'm not surprised. Was it on real estate? Or was it more related to?
It was in regards to housing.
Housing.
And say yes, absolutely. So I have a lot of them call me as a quote expert.
Yes. So here's the thing, is that we started this story. So I'm going to actually direct a little bit here. We started this story with $180,000, was $180,000 or $130,000 into credit card debt.
130, yes.
130, 2 small kids.
Yes.
Didn't have a job.
No.
Saw a program on nighttime TV saying you can be an investor.
That's right. And
you said, yeah, that's for me. Rather than going and getting another job.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. So explain to me, what is it inside of you, Mr. Oliver? What is it inside of you that went, yeah, real estate's my game?
Cabernet.
3 a.m. in Cabernet. Okay, that's a good answer, I guess. But you've been with it for a long time. I'm pretty sure it's been longer than 15 years. Maybe it's 18 now, but it's you've been walking through this field and has been an expert in this field, have been teaching in this field, has been helping others grow in this field for probably since you started, because that's just your personality. You have a tendency to learn and turn around and give it.
You know what? I don't know. It was just a passion that I kind of fell into, Christina. And I was very, very frustrated with where I was before in corporate America. Mm-hmm. I knew it wasn't for me. I didn't know what I was going to do or what I was going to do at that point. And believe it or not, I mean, and I don't, know whether you have a lot of spiritual people on or, God or Buddha or whatever,
whoever your God is, whatever flavor,
whatever the higher being is.
Right.
Because, came and just says, Kevin, this is for you. And they pushed me that direction. And
Okay.
I took that leap of faith. And but there has to be a drive within you. Now I know my big why obviously was my children, and to be able to raise two wonderful boys, which have both graduated from colleges and have good careers of their own now.
Yay! You've launched successful human beings.
Yes,
Congratulations. That's a
though
serious effort.
so we thought for a moment there that one of them was going to have a failure to launch, but we got him squared away and he launched very successfully and is doing extremely well, actually.
Yeah, I was a failure to launch, just so you know. I was completely a failure to launch through most of my 20s. My mom's on the phone like, what are you doing? Sitting around looking at the fuzz in your navel? What's going on? I'm like, sorry, Mom.
So I guess we all have those stories. So
Yeah.
no, that's it. It's just a passion that comes within sometimes.
Okay. That's a good description. And so you've pushed through a whole varieties of very good stories that I don't think we're going to get to hear most of.
Probably not today.
Probably not today. A whole variety of very good stories. I will have you tell the one about the burned down house.
Oh gosh.
I'll have you tell that one in a minute. Because I think there's lessons in that particular story that I think is important that I might interrupt you and highlight on. But let's finish this track we're on. Okay. Let's finish this track one. So the thing is that, so you get involved, so you know the corporate world is not for you.
Yes.
You feel a pull, a calling, if you wanted to say that, or life pushing you in this direction. You go, yeah, this is actually for me. This actually is for me. It fits me. And it does fit you, Kevin. It fits you really well. Somewhere between the Walmart greeter and the get the fricky frack off my land conversation. Right. So, but those two marry really well together into being okay, I can do real estate. I can do this. And the perpetual teacher that you are, right? You learn something, you share it almost immediately. That's what I know.
I do enjoy that. Yes.
You do. You actually really, really do. And you're a good storyteller, which really helps it because that's, part of how you teach. So, and then now you've gone 15, I'm going to guess closer to 18 years at this point.
Yeah, right around there.
I'm going to say maybe longer, maybe 20, so between 18 and 20 years. And you now have declared the moment or the year where you're like, car's free, house is going to be free and paid for. We're going to go, drink wine and play in Vegas or whatever. Why? Why did you want to have this moment of freedom? Why did you want to create that for yourself?
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, I know, Kevin. I'm going to ask you to think.
You kind of put me on the spot there.
Yeah,
huh?
I am. I'm going to put you on the spot. I tried to warn you. I said at the beginning before I turned on the recorder, I'm like, I'm going to ask you this question.
Yes.
And here's the question. What does it feel like to have this moment of freedom and why work so blooming hard for it?
It is. It's like a huge weight off your shoulders a lot of times. Because I take what I do very personally. Whether I'm teaching somebody or helping them be successful, coaching them or mentoring them. And I do this with my team all day long. And it's not, I don't take it as, I'm going to go make money off of them. There's been times where I've worked with people and I haven't made a cent. I don't care. I just want them to be successful. It's my personal, thing that, when they are successful, I know I've been successful. Mm-hmm. So, but I think in regards to becoming financially free, and I don't think I'll ever stop, doing investments. I don't think I'll ever stop real estate. I think I'm to the point right now where the kids are all grown. I'm looking at my two fur babies and of course my wife. We have, and they're not so little. They're about 110, 100 pounds, the two Rottweilers. But they're my fur babies.
Right, they're your fur babies. You're going to take them just the way they are. Yep.
So, we were just in Ireland and Scotland. And one of the things I have to say, when I was in Scotland, and I do like playing golf. So one of the things was to play the old course there in St. Andrews.
Okay.
And so that was a big thing off my bucket list. I went and I played golf, and there's 5 courses actually in St. Andrews.
Okay. I have to take your word for it. I'm not a golf person.
So that was a big thing. Well, that's where golf was created. It was at St. Andrews in Scotland.
I'm not even going to say the joke in my brain. Go ahead.
Oh, but I have this bucket list that I want to
It's
do.
all good. It's all good. So long stick, we won't go into the male long stick thing. We're not going to go there. Okay. We're moving on. Okay. So, but it's on your bucket list and you've managed to check it off. And so tell me you were there. Continue.
So,
you have 5 courses.
Yeah, but you asked me, I says, well, why did you do this? And I says, it's because I'm a Virgo, my wife's a Virgo, and we're very list oriented. And it was time. Check, no more mortgage.
Right.
There you go. There's your answer.
So you hit it. So, but I think I'm going to repeat back. I think the most operative piece in there is this weight that's off of your shoulders.
Correct. Yes. I wanted that freedom to be able, if I want to go sell real estate, great. If I want to go do a flip, fantastic. If I want to go to Ireland or Italy or whatever, yay. There you go.
And do the bucket list, right? And play one of the courses.
Items. So that was the thing. I want that freedom, and I got that freedom.
And you got that freedom. And I think that one of the things I've always appreciated about your story is that you really are such a good, okay, I'm going to tell you an opinion. It's an opinion. I think that people who do really great in real estate are people who have the heart of an entrepreneur. You want, you crave, you experience joy in the daily freedom of creating your own trouble. And then solving that trouble yourself without somebody else telling you how, when, where, and what.
Yes. No,
right? Like we crave that, right? It's the heart of the entrepreneur.
I always thought of it as that we have a heart of a fireman or a woman, okay, and we want to create all these little fires. And we want to put them out. Okay, let's go on to the fire story. So now we're going to move on to, so I want you to tell the story about the fire thing, because I think there are many things, tools, tricks that you implement in this story that I don't even know if you're conscious of, but I'm going to try to pull them out. Are you ready? Yeah, and I haven't told that story in a long time.
Okay, well, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go baby. All yours, take it away.
Well, I mean, as a host, I was a wholesaler at the time. I was working in my wholesale career. Mm-hmm. This is early 2000s now. And I found this house and I went ahead and I put it under contract. At the time, I think I put it under contract for about $100,000. And it was a beautiful little house in the Oildale area of Bakersfield. It's and at that time we were doing about $10,000 wholesale fees. So I was really, really excited about that. I put this thing under contract. I called, my buyers. I had one of my buyers that want to go with it. So I'm going, yes, daddy gets whatever, but I get $10,000. We're all good, right?
Check. Yeah.
And I'm trying to help this lady that was in foreclosure at the time. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get her out of foreclosure and she's going to be happy. My buyer's going to be happy. I'm going to be about $10,000 happier. Mm-hmm. And we're all good. Nice wholesale, right?
Yeah.
So, well, at the time, my house, it's the next day now. And I have a terrible commute. I mean, I walk out my back door all across the courtyard to my little casitas and so it was a long commute.
Long commute, like a good 3-minute walk, maybe.
Having to drive over Sepulveda to pass, God bless you. So
I now have a little house in the back as well. So I finally have learned the Kevin Oliver lesson: walk from my house to something in the backyard. I finally figured that out, Kevin. It only took me 30 years.
So, but I'm about halfway across my courtyard. I have my coffee cup in hand and I have my cell phone in the other and my phone rings. And I call it up. I mean, I answer it and I'm like, hey, this is Kevin. And it's this seller, Julie is her name. And she is in a panic. And she says, Kevin, and I said, Julie, stop, breathe. It's okay. And she says, I don't know how to tell you this. And I says, well, number one, I said, there's nothing that, we can't resolve. It's not a big deal. Just, breathe and we'll work out whatever, we need to do. And she says, no, you don't understand. And I said, yeah, I understand. It's all good. And she says, no, Kevin. And I says, yes, Julie, we'll work out whatever you want. Right. And she says, Kevin, the house burnt down. And I'm like, on the phone, I'm like, oh, that is a little bit of a problem. And well, number one, I says, are you okay? And she said, yes, we're fine. And I says, okay. And I says, well, I says, yeah, that is a little bit of an issue. I says, have you talked to your insurance agent? She says, no, I didn't know what to do. So I called you. And I said, okay. And I says, well, call your insurance company real quick, and then let's talk in a couple of hours. And
Let's see if I can remember all these lessons. This is lesson 3 that you're walking through. Keep going. I'm trying to remember all these lessons. Go ahead.
So I hang up with Julie real quick, and I'm like, oh crap, right? But I call up my buyer, and I says, hey, we got an issue here. Because obviously, and I tell him what happens, and I said, I'll find you something else. Don't be a big deal. So, well, Julie calls me back up, a couple of hours later, and she's a lot calmer now, thank goodness. And she says, hey, I talked to my insurance company. They're going to get everything paid off. And I said, fantastic. And I says, well, what do you want to do now? And she says, well, I think we're just going to go ahead and hold off on everything because obviously we're not in foreclosure anymore. And the insurance paying off everything. But, and I said, okay. I says, well, save my number. And if you ever need anything, just give me a call. And she says, okay, and thank you so much. And I kind of go, make it to my office by this time, obviously. And I just kind of circular file that particular transaction.
Pause there. Okay, pause. And then you can finish the story because I know the story's not done. Pause there for a minute. All right. 1, you stayed kind, right? Yes. 2, you stayed mellow, like you kept a level head. There's nothing we can't solve.
Yes.
Right? So you approached it with a level, stable head. 3, you got into solution sets, not into complainings. You got into solution sets. How do we solve this? Call your insurance company.
Yes.
4, you stayed in communication with your buyer as quickly as you could so that either parties were informed.
Absolutely.
Okay. 4. Great. Keep going because I just can't remember more than 4. Okay. Play. Go. Go, Kevin. Go.
So let's go ahead. So I kind of put that one on the back burner, and I have business to do, so I keep doing my business. Well, about 3 or 4 months later, my phone rings again, and it's Julie. And I said, hey, Julie, how you doing? She says, do you remember me? And I said, yeah.
Sure. Your house burned down. Yeah, I remember you.
And then she says, well, would you still be interested in buying the property? And I'm like, sure.
What is it now? What have we got?
And I says, well, I say, is it still burnt down?
Is it still burnt out?
And I says, well, what would you like for it? And I said, well, I don't think I said it in that way. I says, what do you want out of this?
What do you want out of this? Right.
Yeah, what do you want out of this?
Important wording. What do you want out of this?
Yes. Okay. And she says, well, all I would like is $10,000 in my pocket. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. And he says, well, I need to ask you a couple of questions. I says, do you owe anything on the property anymore? And she says, well, we do have a hard money loan. And I think at that time was for $19,000 because I've been a little blurry on the numbers now because it's been a little while, but it's $19,000. And there's a $2,000 lien from the city, putting the fire out, right? And so we got 19, 20, 21,000, and she wants 10,000. So I said, let me do my math, Julie, real quick. I said, you got a $19,000 loan, you have $2,000 to the city, and you want $10,000 in your pocket, right? And I says, if my math is correct, that's about $31,000. And she says, correct. And I says, all right, you'll have a contract in about 15 minutes.
All yours for 31, done.
Now, mind you, I'm at my family cabin up in Wrightwood.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's part of the story. Right.
So I go ahead and I write up the contract. I get it over to her. She signs it and gets it back to me. Right. And so I have the house under contract now for $31,000. So I go ahead and I call my friend Lee. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, Lee, and it's kind of hard to do on the camera here, is she's probably on her tippy toes 4'10". Okay.
She's a petite lady.
She's a petite woman.
She's
maybe
a petite woman.
yeah, 5'10", 5'11", or 4'11", excuse me.
4'11".
But she's you know, a Chinese gal from New York, tough as nails. This girl.
Right.
I the utmost respect for her. And she
I
comes
do
up.
too, from your story.
Yeah, I love her.
Like, don't mess with this chick.
No, she will kick your ass.
Yes, that's right. Don't mess with this chick.
So I get her on the phone and I go, Lee, I says, I got this great burnout for you. And she liked buying R2 zoned burnouts.
Right.
Very particular in regards to what she liked, because she liked building little duplexes.
Mm-hmm.
Clearing them up, building duplexes, and turn around and either renting them out, you know, doing them, or she sold them off or whatever, but she made crap loads of money. And but she goes ahead, so I get her on the phone. Lee, I got this little thing for you. She says, well, what you got? What you got? And, you know, that's how she talked to me, right? And so I says, well, I got this lot here, da 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 da. She says, fantastic. What do you want for it? And I says, well, these properties right now are going for about $80,000 to $90,000 or something like that. But you know what? You and I, we work well together. Tell you what, I give it to you for 70. She's like, I don't give you 70. I don't give you 70 at all. I give you 50.
You're like, well, okay, we're in the right ballpark. This is good so far.
We're in the ballpark here, right? So let's do a little recap real quick. So I have it under contract for 31,000.
Right.
Actually, I think it was 31.5, but we'll go with 31. She just offered me 50. Do you take that?
No, Kevin doesn't take that.
So I get back on the phone. I'm like, Lee, you are crazy. This is a $90,000 property.
Right.
But you know what? I told you 70. I'll make it easy. I'll give it to you 65. I don't give you 65. I give you 55. And I'm like, Lee, I'm not going to take this serious for 55. She says, Kevin, I like you. I get mad at you sometimes, but I like you. I give you 60,000, no more, no less. You be at my bank at 6 o'clock. So it was 4 o'clock. Excuse me, 4 o'clock. And now, mind you, it's like 2 o'clock right now. And I'm in Wrightwood.
And you're still in Wrightwood. Yes. Right.
So I'm looking at my watch going, see you there 4 o'clock.
See you there 4 o'clock. See you guys. I gotta go.
So I grab all my stuff real quick. I throw it in the car and I'm running down off the mountain. I barely make it back into Bakersfield right at 4 o'clock, pulling into the parking lot there about the same time she does. And I'm like, hey, Lee, how are you? And I haven't even written out the assignment contract yet, right? So I go ahead and I write it out and everything else. Now she had said $60,000, right? So this is $29,000 assignment.
Yeah.
Right. Excuse me. Now, it generally was my rule back then. You can't do it anymore because some of the rules have changed.
Yes, they've changed. You can't do it anymore.
Over a $20,000 assignment fee, I would do a double escrow. Okay, or what they call now a simultaneous close.
Right.
Why would we used to do that?
Well,
the reason why is because you didn't have to disclose what you purchased it for back then, thus hiding how much money you're making as a wholesaler.
Right.
Well, now rules have changed.
They have.
It doesn't matter anymore because you still have to disclose how much you purchased it for. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense doing double closes anymore. But at that time, traditionally, I would have, but I didn't have time. So I go ahead and I write out on the back of my trunk. I'm writing out the assignment fee real quick. So I go ahead and I hand it to Lee. And she's looking at the contracts and she looks at the contract that I have with Julie now. That's 31.5, and the other one for 60,000 assignment fee, right? You know, it's 29,000 assignment fee, $60,000 purchase. You're making about as much on this as you bought it for. And I said, yes, Lee, do we have a problem? No, we don't. We okay.
Right.
So we go in. Obviously, I get my assignment fee. She gets the property. And we're all good. We get it into escrow, and everything's fine. But the moral of the story is, if you have a wholesale deal that you're making 10 grand on and you don't like it, burn the freaking house down and make 30 grand.
That is not the moral of the story.
Oh, wait, no, that's not the moral of the story.
That's not the moral of the story.
But that is one of my favorite stories, that, you know, the house burnt down and I actually made more money on it by going ahead and staying in touch and going through it, and then just being open to other solutions.
Right.
So
Right. The lessons, right? I keep counting the lessons, right? I kept, I saw fingers bouncing up and down, right?
Yes.
So the lessons. So one of the lessons was you asked, what do you want out of the property? Not what do you want to sell it for?
The thing is that you have to find out, and especially as a good wholesaler, what are the needs and requirements of your motivated seller?
Yes.
As well as the needs and requirements of your buyers.
Right.
It's one and the same, because you need to try to match those up. That is huge.
Yes. And what do you want is huge, because you get, for me, I call it the story. You get the story that's associated with what they really need, which allows you to be into solution sets.
Correct.
Not in an argument.
Yes.
Right? Because if you say, what do you want to sell it for? They're going to come up with a number, and now you can argue about the number. Or you can be in solution set, which is, what do you need from it?
Yeah.
What are you hoping for?
I've always called it consultative.
Consultative.
I want to be a consultant.
Yes, you want to be a consultant.
And I sit down there and I says, okay, well, you're in this situation. And they always explain to me the situation they're in. I says, fantastic. And I says, there's always ways that we can help you get out of this. What do you need to help you get out of this?
Right. Operative. What do you need? Consultant. What do you need? So that was one of them. I can't remember all of them, guys. Sorry. But for those of you who actually are going to replay the video and like see the fingers, I don't know if I'm going to hit all these. Okay. So that was one of them that was particularly important that we highlight, was that conversation.
Yes.
The other thing was you were prompt in responding.
Yes.
Right. You're like, okay.
You know what, number one issue, and this is from the National Association of Realtors.
Okay.
Number one complaint of buyers or sellers is agents, and I can say this for investors as well, because your wholesaler is kind of like a realtor in a way, because they're
it's very similar. Yeah,
it's
just
similar. Is they don't answer the phone.
Right.
Answer your phone.
Or they don't call back. If they do leave a message, they don't call back.
You know, the thing is, because I've had probably 3 or 4 phone calls that I've seen on my phone right here since I've been talking to you. Have I answered it? No, it'd be disrespectful. But I've tapped on here in a meeting. I'll call right back. If I have an auto text that goes out, and as soon as we hang up here, guess what I'm going to be doing?
You mean me returning some phone calls.
A couple of phone calls back, following up.
Right. So, and it's easy for you because you're naturally chatty, but it's still at the same time, the number one complaint is that people don't pick up their phone or they don't call back.
That is correct.
Right. And so you were prompt in that you took the phone call, you did the math. That was my third point. You did the math. Okay, so you said what you want out of this in the end was $10,000. Here's what the math is on the property.
Correct.
You did the math and that worked.
Sure.
Because the math could have not worked and you could have said no.
That's correct.
Right? Just because
and it has to be right. And the thing is, as a wholesaler, you kind of have to be the jack of all trades, because you have to be able to see from cradle to grave and sit there and say, okay, if I put this under contract, what is my end client? And it's usually going to be either a flipper or a buy and hold person. Mm-hmm. That's going to want it. So what? And I need to leave meat on the bones for them.
Mm-hmm.
So and see what that is. So and that formula needs to be right.
Yes,
and there is a formula for that.
And what is the formula you use if there's a formula?
Roughly, it's basically. Let's see. Okay, see if I can remember this. You start with your after repaired value, or ARV.
Right.
Okay. And then you have your repair cost estimate. So you're going to take your ARV minus your repair cost estimate, minus title and escrow costs, minus whatever your investor's profit is. I usually like to use 12 to 15%. Okay. And now in each market, it's going to be a little different.
It is.
And then
I use 10% in my market because I'm using larger numbers. So I get a larger paycheck of that 10%, but 10% small.
Yeah. So it's a different market. Different market's going to be a little different. In ours, it's about 12 to 15. And sometimes a little bit more, but that's goals. But, and then I have a 2%, what I call my fluff. That's my negotiation. And whatever I'm negotiating, I'll work those numbers and I go minus. So I start off with ARV minus repair cost, or minus investor profit, minus, wholesale fee needs to be in there, minus title and escrow, minus my little 2% fluff fee, equals my maximum allowable offer.
Right.
Okay. Now, is that where you're going to start? No. Start a little below that because it's easier to come up instead of trying to back out. Yes. So that's kind of the formula.
It's good. All right. Well, on that note, because we're out of time, that story was ideal because, like I said, it had several things in it, including needing the math. And the final thing again was you were prompt. Be there at 4. You were there at 4. You were responsive. I don't know how your wife and 2 boys felt, because I assume you got your ass back up the hill to go pick them up or something.
Yes. We took care of that.
Or they had their own car, whatever. But I mean, but at the same time, there's like, they were fine. This is my job, right? This is my job. So, so Kevin, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, like I know how to get a hold of you when I go, Kevin, I have money to invest. Can I give you money to invest with? And you have always been straight with me. Always have been straight with me, Kevin, right? Yes. Every time I've invested with you, you've given me what I needed, right? Clear even communication. When things
went sideways.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to say is even when things went sideways, clear communication, right? A fair deal, a return, all of my principal back and return, right? And a profit. Always, you've always done that. That's why I have no problem with recommending you. So if people want to get a hold of you and they either want to give you money to invest or they want to tap your brain for wholesaling or for being a real estate agent, right? Or in Bakersfield.
Whatever, sure.
Because you're not leaving Bakersfield, right? You're not moving to Vegas on me, right?
No, I'm staying in Bakersfield right now. Yes.
Okay, staying in Bakersfield right now. So how do people find you and get a hold of you, and what's your information?
Well, you can go to my website. It'd be yourhome661.com, obviously, and you can register, and that goes directly to me. And then from there, you can call me directly. I can give out my cell phone. I'm fine. 661-808-3444. And of course, and I always tell people that because I've had people say, "Oh, I couldn't find you." I'm like, seriously? Really? I'm the first 2 pages of Google.
Right. Kevin Oliver, Bakersfield. You will going
to find me in Google.
Right.
First 2 pages. Okay.
Right. So give out your website name again.
It's yourhome661.com.
Perfect. Kevin, I adore you. Thank you for the time. I would keep talking with you, but I we have only so much time that interviews are good for. As far as like 45 minutes is about the right length. So we're going to say we're out of time. And hopefully I will get to run into you, do another interview with you, hug you, right?
Yes.
Something. Give you a virtual hug in this time, right? With the Zoom and the COVID. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anything for you.
Thank you. I would also for you. Thank you so much for listening to Real Estate Breakthrough. I am Christina Suter, your host. Tune in next week for another speaker.